Hey teachers, have you heard the amazing news? I just launched a brand new product line called Science Smash-Ups. They launched a little bit of time ago, and since then, teachers have been flooding my inbox with amazing questions. And I thought I would take some time today to talk with all of you about how you can best use the Science Smash-Up materials for your classroom. So maybe you've heard of Science Smash-Ups already. You've heard them via emails that you've gotten from me, or maybe you've seen them in my store already. But if you haven't, let me take a quick second just to explain what a Science Smash-Up is. So when I first started teaching long ago, I had a principal who said these words, and I can remember them word by word, quotation marks and all. He said that teaching science and social studies is just like fancy reading. And that resonated with me to this very day. And so I wanted to create a resource that did just that. It supported our science standards and our reading standards at the exact same time. Because if you think about it, when students read science materials or social studies materials, they have to use the exact same reading skills and strategies that we're teaching them in order to comprehend those texts. So why not focus on a reading strategy while consuming the science and social studies information? It makes perfect sense, right? Well, that's where Science Smash-Ups come in place. That's exactly what I did, is I designed resources around important science curriculum and standards that are also supported by reading skills and strategies. So since I've launched this, I've got a lot of great questions from teachers out there. So again, I thought I'd take some time today to talk to you about how you can best use the materials, all right? All right, so first, I want to just show you what's all included. So this is what is all included in one Science Smash-Up unit. Now, as of right now, I have units on topics like animals, moon, scientific method, ecosystems, force and motion, and I've got a few more coming out as well, and tons more planned. So don't worry if there's a topic that you need. Email me and let me know. I can absolutely get it on the schedule. So in one unit, you get everything that is in this grid right here. So you're getting things like video links that will help you support your science standards. You're getting inquiry activities to get kids thinking at the beginning of the week. There's vocabulary activities for every single day of the week, including vocabulary posters and an assessment for the vocabulary. You are getting journal response questions. You get 2 hands-on lab experiments, again, that support the science standards. You've got exit tickets. We've got close reads. We have a review game, something that you could put into a center or you could do like on a Friday just for fun together. And a final assessment as well that combines the science and the reading standards that you worked on as one. And the best part about this is it also comes with a student reader, a completely original text that is designed to support science and reading at the same time. And with that student reader comes your very own student workbook that has everything you need in it. Print, go, staple together, and you have all the resources you need for your students for the entire week or 2 weeks, however long you're taking to use the materials. Now, I understand that science is probably one of those subjects, especially in elementary school, that we don't have a lot of time to focus on, right? Reading and math and writing are kind of our core subjects. Science and social studies, unfortunately, sometimes just kind of get swept under the rug, or they get the minimal time that, it deserves more. So I understood that when I was creating this. So I get that you will not be able necessarily to do all of this in 1 week. So this is how I would design the materials if you were to use them in 1 whole week, maybe 2 weeks. You can kind of expand upon the days as well. But I know that's not fathomable or feasible. I'm just making up words here, friends. Feasible for all teachers. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you today about. I'm going to show you some of the materials real quick that we just went through, and then we're going to talk about how you can best use these materials, all right? So I mentioned an amazing original student reader, and this is exactly what those look like. And the great thing about these is there's no weird cutting and weird folding. You literally print this front to back, put the pages together and fold, and that is it. They have fantastic text features included. So we've got a table of contents, we've got headings, lots of bold words throughout. There's graphics, there's maps, just all kinds of materials in here. And it's hefty on the information. Like it's science-based, and so it's going to have a lot of science information in it. And like I said, they're just absolutely phenomenal. There's places for students to stop and talk, stop and write and reflect. I just absolutely love how they turned out. So this is the original science reader. You also get your own teacher version of this that has prompts throughout it. So that way you have something in your hands that's a little bit different. Same story, of course, same text, but you've got prompts throughout yours to know what to discuss and when to discuss it with your students. So this is the original reader that comes with your units. And then, like I said, the students are also going to be given a workbook. Now, this is what the workbook looks like for the animal units. There's always a cover. And then, like I mentioned in the graphic that I had up on the screen a minute ago, there's always some sort of inquiry activity at the beginning to kind of get them ready. Here, students are looking at their favorite animal and talking about the habitat, diet, and behavior, things that they probably already know about their favorite animal. There's always a vocabulary activity every single day. So here we're introducing the words and talking about parts of speech and definition. The great thing about the vocabulary is I linked every vocabulary back to a reading strategy or skill. So we're looking at parts of speech. We're looking at context clues. We're looking at word parts like synonyms, antonyms. We're also looking at prefixes and suffixes and root words. So they're getting more than just vocabulary when they're working on their vocabulary in the unit. So again, there's a reading resource, a reading activity for each part of the reader. So here we're working on determining importance through the very first part of the book, the reader that you're given. I'm just kind of going through and showing you some of these. Here's a journal reflection page that you would do at the end of day 1. And the cool thing about these are you can't get out of order because everything is marked day 1. And then if I move on, day 2, you can see here, the tabs kind of move down as the week goes on. So here's another vocab activity where they're using context clues. The activities are just super fun. Here we're comparing animal habitats. So it's just phenomenal. Here's an example of the student lab. You have your own lesson plan for the lab itself, but this is what the students would get. So they have their materials list, the experiment question, they have to create a hypothesis. They have very easy to follow steps, and then any kind of space that they need to collect their data and analyze it. And then, of course, exit tickets as well throughout the unit. So there's a lot more to that workbook. Of course, that was only the first 2 days. Like I mentioned, teachers, you are getting the lesson plans from day 1 all the way to the end of the week. So that way you know exactly how to follow and use the materials. They are fully loaded lesson plans. I'm telling you, we left no stone unturned here. You've got your objective. You've got your materials. You've got, like I said, there's warm-up video links throughout, your inquiry activities, your reading activities. Everything is there and listed. I also mentioned that there are close reads. So the close reads are really cool because they are differentiated. So there are 3 different levels. This one would be the on level. You can use these in a lot of different ways. And they kind of go deeper into the information that is given in the student reader. So all of your close reads kind of go beyond the reader and a little bit deeper in each section. So here's one, how dolphins communicate. And again, it's supported by some sort of reading standard. Here we're working on cause and effect. So this would be your on level. No, they don't look different. This is your above level where we just kind of tighten up the sentences, make them a little bit more stronger, and then a more higher level vocabulary. And then this would be your below level. So you can have your students using these in small groups or centers and easily differentiate the information. So now you kind of have an overview of what all you get. Let's talk about what I really wanted to talk about today, which was how do you use these materials? Well, First off, I will say this. The great thing about these units are you can plug and chug however you want. All the materials are very much connected, but each one can be pulled apart and used independently and separately from the rest. So if you just wanted to use the reader and not any of the materials that go with it, you can. If you want to focus just on the vocabulary because you have your own unit, then you can do that too. If you wanted to use the close reads, more in reading class than science class, you can do that as well. So one thing that I have done, and this is included in the teacher guide, is I have created these little graphics here that shows if you are kind of limited on your time, what all you could be focusing on. So I know that there are teachers out there who said that, hey, I really love these, but I only have a 30-minute science block. I can't use them in my reading block. Help me out here. What pieces do I need to use in order to focus on the science part of it more than the reading part? And I think that's phenomenal. So here's kind of what I suggest. If you are limited to using these materials just in your small science block that you have, I would do this. I would skip the close reads, altogether, or you can find maybe a way to use them in your reading centers or something like that. But those are more, yes, they do support the science, but they go a lot deeper than just the reader itself. So that's something that you could skip. You could also skip the reading strategy practice that's in the workbook. Again, those are going to support more reading standards than science. So those are something that you could skip as well. And then, of course, the vocab practice. So you're probably thinking, well, then what do I focus on? Well, you're going to focus on your labs, of course, to get that hands-on practice. You're going to focus on the student reader, which has all of the science information in it. And you're going to focus on your videos that are embedded throughout the lesson plans, as well as in the teacher guide. So I give you tons of suggestions on videos, as well as I give you lots of links to mentor texts or picture books as well, in case you want to find some new books to add to your library that support your unit that you're working on. So this is just a suggestion. Again, all the materials can be plugged out and chugged in however you want, but this is what I would suggest if you are limited to a 30-minute science block only. Now, on the other side of that, you're probably thinking, well, what if I only have a 30-minute reading block? Well, I got you covered here. So now it's kind of the reverse, right? If you only have 30 minutes and you want to use these materials in your reading block with kind of a nonfiction focus, these units can all be seen as nonfiction units, just like you would get in your own reading curriculum. So what do I skip? What do I use if I'm limited to using these in a 30-minute reading block only? So you would skip the labs because those are more focused on the deep information about the science standards. You would ignore the video clips. You would not need to watch those because, again, they're completely science focused. And the inquiry activities that are scattered throughout are not needed as well. They're going to be more focused on the science and the reading. So what will you focus on? Well, again, you want that reader because it is going to have the science materials, but if you're using it in reading, you would just think of it as a nonfiction reader, right? And then with this, you would use the strategy practice pieces that are in the student workbook. Like I showed you, the determining importance one, the compare and contrast page. Like, you want to use those pages because you're focusing more on reading skills and strategies. And then, yes, you could absolutely focus again on your close reads, which are differentiated, perfect for small group to help support nonfiction and reading skills and strategies at the same time. All right, so the other great thing is in your unit, there comes a teacher guide for every unit. Some of the material is the exact same because it applies to every unit. So you're going to get this information just like I showed you in the graphics in the, on the screen. All that's in there, so you don't have to worry about like remembering all of that. Another great thing is I tell you about how many minutes it should take to do certain activities. For example, your close reads, you could use those as warm-ups. They should only take about 10 minutes, okay? Then you've got your vocab activities, again, another 10 minutes. So all of the time is kind of mapped out for you. That way, if you have a really odd amount of time and you want to focus on just science or just reading, you can kind of plug and chug the pieces you need to fit the exact amount of time you have. So Again, I absolutely fell in love with these. I think they are one of the most unique resources out there that really bring two worlds that really should be together more often, together as one wholehearted curriculum that you can present to your students. So like I said, there's tons of units out there right now. Animals, ecosystems. I've got plants and weather coming if they're not already out. Tons more coming in the next year. So definitely make sure to check those out, and then to come back to this video if you need some more information about how to use these materials. There's such amazing materials. I mean, this could even be thrown into a nonfiction center if you wanted. Maybe you've got a nonfiction center every week, and so you're going to throw in this with one of the pages from the workbook, and that's their center activity. There's so much you can do with it. You know, these could be your warm-ups for reading every day or every week. Maybe you focus on one a week. So this week they're going to work on reading about dolphins, and we're going to work on cause and effect. So every day they just kind of read a little more, and you work a little bit more on it to kind of get their brains going in reading class. Like, there's no set way to use the materials. But I give a ton of suggestions on how I would suggest to use them, but you don't have to follow that. So I definitely encourage you to go check those out if you haven't already. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've got much more videos on the science smash-ups here on YouTube, so make sure to check those out. We talk a lot about like why you should teach reading and science at the same time. I have an more in-depth video on all of the materials, so check that one out too. I hope you love the science smash-ups. Social studies smash-ups, they're coming too. Don't worry. All right, friends, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk soon. Bye.